Well, hello there. It's Matt Larson here at Digital Freedom, and I'm back to you again, talking about all things, online entrepreneurial. Of course, what we're doing is we're focusing on how to make a midlife transition into an online income source that isn't full of hype and not full of complexity, simplicity and speed, and of course, one thing that is missed by a lot of people is foundation. Get that foundational stuff. Those of us who've been through a little bit of life understand that, yes, indeed, there is something that will get in the way, and you got to plan for that, and we'll talk about those things. What we're talking about today is, of course, getting a little bit deeper into the why, but why now? Why now? And you could say an emotional trigger. There's, the psychologists will call it cognitive dissonance. You are aware that something needs to be done different. So here we are discussing cognitive dissonance, or your trigger, my trigger. So sharing with you mine will help you establish yours. And why is it important? Well, here's the deal. We're going deep into the why together, because once you've cleared aside the loose dirt, you could set a real foundation. So let's go about clearing aside the loose dirt. So, emotional triggers. I'll share with you that my personal one was a transition. So I did a pivot after, the 2007, 8, 9, and 10 financial fiasco for my financial services career. I had 3 businesses go down in the same year. It was just no fun. And the one that did survive, still have attachment to, but it's not an everyday income. And so, of course, my motivation for getting into an online income is to, 1, replace retirement that disappeared, and 2, to generate an income that doesn't require me to be physically there and, frankly, is dynamic. And then last piece that I always talk to people when I'm coaching them up on this is in regards to, congruency. Or what you're doing is what you're doing pairing up with you, still. Many people suffer an emotional burnout doing a career that has even served them well. And it's usually because there's an emotional disconnection. So here we are discussing the whys. We'll get into it. My trigger. Okay, so when I pivoted 10 years ago from financial services into RV sales, which was a career I had years before, I gave a buddy a call and, hey, Matt, we need you. We're setting all kinds of records, and it just won't be complete without you. Thank you, Stan. Thank you very much. It's exactly what I needed to hear. Went into it, generated a nice income. It was an instant transition. I felt warm and accepted, and for the most part still do. Unfortunately, circumstances in the economy has made that a little less of a dynamic income, but more importantly, my body, my history of playing sports and whatnot, beat myself up a little bit, and so doing 10, 12, 15,000 steps a day just isn't a possibility anymore. So, and trying to do that career without walking around as much, and during this, regardless of how you vote, let's just say there's chaos, and people with a lot of money aren't buying RVs. They're sitting on their hand a little bit, and people with very little money have even less, and so they're not buying RVs. So pretty much the primary RV market is rescuing people for going home. And in all 3 cases, I love serving, but it is a necessity in my case to have an alternate income. But more importantly, I'm a big fella, and big fellas, big dogs, let's just use dogs. Big dogs don't live as long as little dogs. My wife's family, it's not uncommon for them to reach their upper 90s and into the hundreds. It's just not that common in my heritage. So I'm also looking to tee my wife up. See what I'm saying? So, if we're having this conversation in regards to that, cool. But say, when I had an injury, my RV company made some room for me in the consignment team. They wanted people to have someone they trusted to, transition out of their RV which is common. Most RV companies offer this service. But while doing that, I'd be sitting at someone's kitchen table and listening to and absorbing the emotions of it's time to give up the dream. And sometimes that dream ended with, say, for instance, somebody died and it just didn't want to go it alone. So this particular story was the one that generated some cognitive dissonance for me. So from her perspective that she shared with me, she and her husband had a dream to travel the South and maybe even camp out in the desert for a few months through the winter. And then, of course, return home to be with family and those she cared about. And they had family on the East Coast as well. And so, they purchased a big truck, actually ordered it special with all the chrome you could possibly have. Beautiful truck. The Big Daddy Mofo rig had it all. And they bought the RV, special ordered that too, and got everything, including onboard independent power, so they could be wherever they wanted to be. But clearly, where they wanted to be was not at work. And the gentleman, on one of his last days at work, he didn't get out of his car. He died in the parking lot. Yeah, that story. Of course, I was there for her and listened through the tears, and I can't remember whether we held her hand or gave her a big hug, but there was some warmth there, and she appreciated my presence. But I came away from that more than just moved. I came away from that almost disturbed, and not at their story, but at mine. Because, my friends, I just don't want to be that guy who dies in a car on one of his last days at work, punching the clock and being a number and not being there for family, for others, or for myself. Just don't want to be that guy. And so, even though this was about 3 years ago, it generated some cognitive dissonance. I am aware that that's not how I want to end up. And then, flash forward with chaos in the economy, it just felt like now's the right time. And with an injury, it also did, because I had a little bit of time off. Obviously, labor and industries takes care of what they do, nice and slow, but nevertheless, I have a little bit of something there. So I've written and started this digital freedom platform that offers education and connection and helps people to understand how to monetize. And of course, we can go into scale and whatnot, but I'll share with you also why not. But also some inspiration and, frankly, growth. Teach people how to step up down the road. So what we're doing today is recognizing your why, understanding why now, and I got to ask an important question. This is gentle, but it's poignant. What were to happen for you if you don't satisfy your why? If you don't transition to congruency, or you don't transition to this side income or create it as a primary income, how would that feel? Yeah, and more importantly than just how it feels for you, what would it happen if you were the guy in the car who didn't make it into work on one of his last days? How would it feel, not for you, obviously, how would it feel for your family? How would it feel for those who care about you, those who have been dreaming with you? And for that matter, there's people you haven't met yet. Future generations of you are, gonna be there whether you're there or not. So I would encourage you to be present for your family, and I'm encouraging you to follow your own digital freedom chapter and get going on your own next step. As someone who's successfully done a pivot primarily in the past, and why I say primarily is because that was my first. But there is a reason to pivot again, and having that background is very helpful. Also, having a financial background certainly helps. And then also understanding just how congruent it was for me to be able to share my passion for the outdoors and whatnot with others. There was something very whole and very comfortable, and celebrating was something that was important to me. But also, in asking yourself those important questions, I discovered that I really need a team. I don't need to be a dynamic professional. I've done that before, and what has served me best is to bring others along. And so that's what this is structured about. Why am I out here? Teaching people how to make their own pivot, teaching people how to chase their own digital freedom without hype, without complexity. The reason being is because I believe it needs to happen fast. I need to, but not without foundation, because those are, that Leaning Tower of Pisa doesn't continue to produce. It just looks pretty. Let's figure out how to help you set up something that will monetize. And if you're already doing something, let's help you make that monetize even better by strengthening your foundation, help you cleanse out some of the dirt beneath the foundation. So we are indeed together, separately, running along. So that being the case, this has been a little bit longer than we typically do on video, but I want you to know that what's coming up is interviews with people that actually have been and are doing the digital experience, not just a talking head, but a discussion that you're more than welcome to join. Speaking of, this is a community, so I ask you, please join. This is something where we're here for each other, and we're all going to ask questions, and anybody is able to answer. This is a kindness community, and I'm looking forward to sharing that with you. And then in regards to this particular video, if we said anything that triggers you a little bit or helps you think, please like. That helps the channel. And then, of course, I encourage you to share, because the greatest altitude comes when you climb as a team. And if there's somebody that you know and care about that could use a pivot in their life, that could use less complexity, less hype, but certainly some direction in this online entrepreneurial program, let them know about digital freedom. Love to have you and them on board. Looking forward to it. Thank you so much for your time here today, and please stay tuned. We got some people to introduce you to. Talk to you then. Bye.